Our film today begins with a vampire named Dracula playing with his little daughter Mavis. He is the one raising her and taking care of her, telling her stories, singing to her, and training her to fly. His assistant then arrives and tells him he has prepared a place no human can reach, because it is surrounded by cemeteries full of terrifying and frightening spirits, and if any human tries to get close, they will die of fear. Dracula then appears holding a photo of his deceased wife and talking to her, saying he has finally built the place they had always dreamed of for their daughter Mavis, so no one can harm her or get near her. Years pass, and a large number of ghosts appear visiting Dracula's place, which has since become a large hotel. Dracula celebrates with his guests at his hotel, which no human has ever entered since it was built. Dracula then presents the event schedule for his daughter Mavis's birthday. Relatives and friends of Dracula arrive and he welcomes them and thanks them for coming to celebrate his daughter's birthday. Dracula appears introducing a display of photos of a group of their human enemies. Mavis then appears in her room practicing what she will say to her father Dracula to ask him to let her go out and see the world freely as he promised her on her 118th birthday. Dracula enters and wishes her a happy birthday. Mavis tells him she needs to talk to him about something. He tells her he remembers his promise and will keep it and will allow her to go out freely. Mavis gets very excited and picks up her bag and tells him she will go to the place where her father first met her mother. Dracula tells her their family and friends came specifically to celebrate her birthday, and it would be rude to leave and abandon them. She tells him she loves them and is happy they came, but she also wants to go out and travel and see people her age and meet new people. Dracula allows her to go to the nearby village, which has humans as a start for her, and also so she can return in time for her birthday party. Mavis hugs him and thanks him for trusting her and keeping his promise. She excitedly tells some relatives who suddenly come in that she is finally going outside the castle for the first time in her life. But one of the relatives tries to scare Dracula and asks him how he can let his only daughter go to the scary humans who hate them. On the other side, Mavis transforms into a bat and appears outside the castle heading to the human village she agreed on with her father. Dracula then appears, having gone ahead of his daughter to watch her from a distance. Mavis finds no people in the village, and it is completely empty. Suddenly, she finds a group of people and sees them moving toward her with torches and flaming fire. Mavis gets scared and flies away and says her father was right. Dracula's plan succeeds as he had the dead help him and play the role of the villagers, so his daughter would get the idea of going outside out of her head. Dracula goes to his daughter to check on her and asks what she did when she went out. He finds her upset and she tells him he was right about humans. Dracula hugs her and says he is sad her experience did not work out and asks her not to be upset and to take the cake he made for her himself and the gift he brought her. Suddenly, a human boy enters the hotel. His name is Johnny. Before we continue, I think you forgot to hit the like button. Press like now, my friend, and subscribe now. When they see Dracula, they are startled and ask how he got to the hotel. Johnny tells him he was mountain climbing with his friends and heard sounds coming from the scary forest beside them and saw people there who had the fire and followed them and discovered this hotel and wanted to explore it. A hotel guest appears upset about the service, and Dracula is forced to take Johnny and hide him in a room quickly. He searches him and takes his phone and hears the music coming from it. Dracula is scared for the reputation of the place if anyone finds out a human entered, and for his daughter Mavis, who if she sees him will learn her father lied to her and that humans are not evil or anything. Johnny then appears saying he is imitating real vampires with his outfit and everything. Johnny does not realize he is actually in front of a real ghost. Johnny appears looking at the clothes hanging in the place and is impressed. Dracula decides to change Johnny's appearance to make him look like one of their ghosts. He brings him out, and Dracula meets the chef and sits talking to him about food. Johnny goes to look at the guests in amazement at their appearances. Suddenly, he finds a skeleton in front of him and is terrified when he confirms it is a real skeleton. He runs left and right and screams at the sight of the ghosts in the place. Johnny bumps into Dracula, and they grab him and enter a place quickly to hide him. Johnny learns this is the real Dracula, and this is not just a costume, and this is not a costume party. Dracula asks him to be calm and keep his nerves because he will not drink his blood the way humans think. He tells him he built this place for all the creatures that humans oppress. Dracula transforms into a bat and picks up Johnny to take him out of the hotel. Johnny tries to convince him to stay a little longer, and suddenly they run into Mavis. Dracula is forced to bring him back in again and draws Dracula toward his daughter again and tells her he brought Johnny to help him with preparations for her birthday party. The girl is surprised by her father and his abnormal behavior, and Mavis asks her father, Dracula, to agree to let her walk with Johnny. Suddenly, the guests appear asking Dracula to sing with them like the old days, but he refuses. Mavis talks with Johnny and tells him her mother was the one who chose her name, and when she asks him his name, he gets flustered and says a name he heard while at the hotel. She tells him that is her cousin's name. He tells her he is her cousin and tries to imitate her relative Frankenstein, who is surprised by his presence and asks Dracula about him. Dracula answers and tells him this is Mavis's cousin. He continues and tells them he is here to plan the party in a new way, and he creates entertaining segments. The first segment begins with a song from Dracula's relatives, which is very boring. Johnny stops them and asks them to speed up the rhythm, and the audience gets into it with him. But Dracula notices this and orders them to stick to the schedule he made, which they find boring. Johnny plays a song from his own playlist, and all the guests get excited. The buffet opens, and the guests go to the tables and start eating, except for Johnny and Dracula, who are sitting talking together. Johnny asks Dracula to try the food, but he refuses and takes him aside and tells him if those present discover a human is there, it will be a disaster. He orders him to pretend his back hurts in front of the others so he can leave. But the guests think he is asking them to climb on each other's backs and play, and Dracula's plan to get Johnny to leave fails. He takes him by force and takes him out and hypnotizes him and tries to make him forget all the events that happened and erase his memory. But Johnny tells him he is wearing contact lenses that help him see better, and hypnosis will not work on him. Dracula threatens him that if he does not leave, he will finish him off. On their way, they meet Mavis, who takes him on a tour of the hotel, and they go up to the roof, and he sees the whole place from above. He tells her he can see a beautiful city beside them from here. Mavis asks him about it and about his hobby. He tells her he went to a party there before. Mavis is amazed he could travel to many places and toured the world. He tells her it is much better than staying at home. Mavis is amazed by the sunrise she sees for the first time from far away without touching it, so she does not get harmed. At that time, Dracula was in the sauna talking with relatives who asked him about Johnny. They told him he is a nice person and his daughter is drawn to him. Dracula refuses the idea and gets upset. On the other side, Johnny suddenly falls from the roof and lands on Dracula's leg while he is still telling them Johnny is leaving and not coming back. Dracula and Johnny then appear with Johnny amazed by the way Dracula arranges the tables that move on their own. He rides on one of them to fly on it, and Dracula rides another table and chases after him. Dracula enjoys chasing him. When he meets his daughter Mavis and she asks him about Johnny, Dracula gets upset and asks if she likes him. But Mavis shows she is not interested in someone as eccentric as him. The hotel chef then appears and kidnaps Johnny after finding out he is a human and decides to cook him for dinner. The guard goes to tell Dracula, who excuses himself from his daughter and runs quickly to catch him before he gets grilled. The chef accuses Dracula of being loyal to humans. Dracula tries to convince him Johnny is not human. The chef asks him to prove it with a test, but Johnny does not pass it, and it is confirmed Johnny is indeed human. Dracula quickly takes him and brings him out of the kitchen, and they go to a room with photos of his wife. When Johnny sees it, he tells him these photos of this woman are displayed in museums in the human world. He begins telling him the story and says that once upon a time there was a lonely man until he met this woman by chance and loved her, and they lived together and had a small child. But one day their home caught fire and they all died. The legend says their souls are still present in the ruins. Dracula tells him the legend is wrong, and that only the wife died, and the ones who killed her were the humans when they gathered with their fire to finish them off. He asked her to hide, but the humans went and set the whole place on fire. That is why Dracula built his castle and protects his daughter in it from humans. Johnny tells him they are in the 21st century now, and people have changed. Dracula asks him for one piece of evidence that if they went out, all the people would accept them. Johnny tells him he has a point. Dracula begs him to stay for his daughter's birthday party. The next morning, everyone in the place gets up and Dracula prepares himself for the party and puts the gift for his daughter on the bed. The birthday party begins and everyone dances and sings. Dracula then argues with his daughter who wants to explore the world like Johnny. Suddenly, her father confesses the truth to her that he arranged the whole village thing because he is worried about her. The chef then enters and reveals Johnny's human identity in front of the guests who are terrified. Johnny is surprised by Mavis, who hugs him and tells him she does not care if he is human or a ghost. Johnny looks at Dracula, who shows sadness. Johnny then stands up and tells Mavis he hates monsters, and she is a monster like them. He leaves her and walks away. Dracula then enters Mavis's room to check on her, but finds her sitting on the roof alone and sad. She asks him to erase her memory, and he finds her holding a book written in. It is a love story with her mother. She tells him she no longer wants to go outside the castle ever again, and she no longer has dreams just like him. All the hotel guests then appear demanding their bills because they want to leave after discovering a human in the place. Dracula asks them to help him find Johnny so he does not break his daughter Mavis's heart further. Dracula tries to make them understand that Johnny is not evil like other humans. They actually go out looking for Johnny and find his shirt on the road. Dracula asks a relative to track him through his scent. The relative asks his children to help him, so his small daughter sniffs the shirt and tells him exactly where Johnny is. Dracula and his relatives get in a car and run quickly to catch Johnny before he travels. On the way, they meet a human who jokes with them, and they are surprised by his manner. They reach a festival full of people dressed as monsters who look exactly like them. Someone else asks about the airport and points them in the direction. A real monster from Dracula's friends decides to continue walking and tries to scare people at the festival, but people applaud him. He tries to make them understand he is a real monster, but people tell him they like him anyway. He tells them the story of Mavis and asks them to help Dracula reach Johnny without the sun touching him. They all hold up fabric to cover him, and Dracula runs under it quickly until he reaches the plane, but finds it has already taken off. Dracula is forced to transform into a bat and fly. He appears with the sun burning him to reach Johnny and keeps calling to him from the window. Suddenly, Johnny looks at him but cannot hear him well. Dracula goes to the front of the plane and sticks to the glass from the front, and hypnotizes the pilots and makes an announcement inside the plane that he was wrong toward Johnny when he tried to protect his daughter Mavis, and that he thought he could protect her from him, but discovered she had the right to discover the world for herself. He is happy that Mavis's trust went to a wonderful person like him. Dracula asks him to forgive him. Dracula returns to his daughter Mavis's room and apologizes to her and asks her to live her life the way she wants. He gives her birthday gift, which was a travel bag, along with Johnny, who apologizes to her and tells her he said he hated monsters out of fear of her father. Dracula gives his daughter a plane ticket to go with Johnny to achieve her dream, and they discover the world together. And that's where part 1 of our story comes to an end. If you'd like us to cover the remaining parts, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when the next part is released.